The brain and language. Throughout the history of biological evolution, the brain has been one of the most important evolutionary nodes. This is often referred to as being great due to the evolutionary advantage humans have attained, leading to a sense of superiority. As is commonly understood, the brain serves as the central hub of the nervous system. It receives and processes neurons, transmits signals through functional neurons, controls and commands movement, sensation, language, and other functions, and regulates the body's various processes. Many organisms lack a centralized brain, but instead have a network of nerves spread throughout the body that functions similarly to a brain. The only centeredness. According to estimations, the brain evolved around 4 billion years ago. As more complex multicellular organisms emerged, their complex physiological structures evolved more sophisticated signaling mechanisms to facilitate cooperation between different cell types. As cells continued to differentiate, signaling mechanisms continued to evolve, starting from the formation of signaling centers and trunks, progressing to the establishment of signaling highways like the spinal cord, and culminating in the formation of a centralized, functionally complex brain. The evolutionary trend for nerve centers indicates a direction of increasing complexity, which is supported by scientific studies and paleontological fossils. Fossils of the earliest animals with complex brains were dated to approximately 520 million years ago. This period is called the Cambrian explosion of life, during which the number and diversity of organisms on Earth increased rapidly. The fossil of a worm-like creature resembling a turtle with claw-like appendages shows an intricate brain-like structure composed of interconnected forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain which formed specialized neural networks. Scientists at the University of Chicago have observed numerous genetic processes which regulate the development of vertebrate brains by studying the acorn worm. Acorn worms, which are distantly related to vertebrates, possess signaling centers that are strikingly similar. Despite not possessing an intact nervous system like vertebrates, acorn worms have evolved some remarkably intricate signaling mechanisms. When contemplating signaling complexity as an evolutionary pathway in biology, the emergence of a neural center in the brain appears to be a vital event in this pathway. Will the brain become more centralized as it evolves further? Will evolution result in an increase in the number of neurons in the brain? Despite having only 302 nerve cells, the nematode brain, being tiny, can perform similar functions to those of higher organisms' nervous systems. Parrots have a total of 227 million to 3.14 billion neurons, and songbirds have 136 million to 2.17 billion neurons. Bottlenose dolphins have approximately 580 million cortical neurons, whereas humans, chimpanzees, and gorillas have 1.15 billion, 620 million, and 430 million neurons respectively. Compared to a personal computer, a mainframe computer, and a supercomputer, the nematode brain acts as a monolithic computer, whereas compared to an orangutan, a bird, or a human, it acts as a supercomputer. Hence, it appears that enhancing the number of neurons in the brain is an intelligent choice from an evolutionary perspective. A guide to the Bird IQ Index has been published by scientists in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, ranking the intelligence of birds. As per the report, the most intelligent birds are ravens, jays, and other members of the jay family. These birds are much more intelligent than other species of birds, as they possess excellent memory, exceptional sociological reasoning skills, and the ability to use tools. Birds such as North American quail, emu, and ostrich, with smaller head-to-body ratios, are at the bottom of the list. Creatures like bottlenose dolphins have cognitive, memory, and problem-solving skills, and their intelligence quotient (IQ) is closest to that of humans among the animal kingdom. Although plants lack brains, they possess brain-like characteristics, such as a physiological ability to prioritize growth, the capability to synthesize and analyze information for issuing instructions, and the ability to secrete chemicals or transmit instructions through electrical currents. When comparing plants and animals based on these characteristics, we find that the root of the plant, which has a centralized nerve center, is the structure that can perform brain-like functions. However, is neurological centralization the only effective strategy? Why do not all plants and animals utilize a multi-level centralization strategy? Why are biological neural networks incapable of distributing and processing information in a manner similar to multi-host computer networks, which, although energy-intensive, provide significant advantages such as improved information reliability and security? Suppose that humans evolved into Hydra, the creature of Greek mythology, with a brain distributed across multiple information processing centers, forming multiple brain chambers. The idea of humans in this way may be frightening and unacceptable, but the potential advantage could be that the human body would not be at risk of dying if one or more subbrains were damaged or died. Assuming the strategy of the human subbrain evolved into a collaborative cluster integration mechanism. In addition to communication, the neural bus can randomly allocate tasks to individual subbrains, make related decisions, and execute them independently. When several subbrains are damaged, there is no significant effect on physical functions, as long as one or more subbrains remain intact, except the possibility of partial memory loss. Although it may be a fascinating hypothesis that humans are more advanced than aliens in the realm of science fiction, why has nature not tested and implemented subbrain strategies when making thorough assessments of the safety and efficiency of the human brain's evolutionary strategy? Advantages of human language. The gradual evolution of the brain towards complexity has led to the development of language as a tool for communication and command, allowing for communication among organs, tissues, cells, and between individual organisms. Therefore, the evolution of language is an essential aspect of the history of biological evolution. Language is a complex communication system that involves its formation, acquisition, maintenance, and use. In addition to communication, language plays a vital role in species identification and fauna identity. Animals in nature, like humans, have a need to communicate information and emotions with each other. Therefore, each animal species has developed its own unique set of communication methods. In addition to vocal communication, many animals use distinct scents, pheromones, for a variety of purposes, including attracting mates, recognizing allies and foes, and marking territories or organizing movements in groups. Certain animals exhibit various behaviors to convey their intentions, while others use colors to communicate with each other. Human language is often regarded as unique compared to other communication systems. On the other hand, animals such as bees and apes use simple, closed communication systems that are often restricted in expressing their intentions. In contrast to such animal communication systems, human language is creative and limitless, as its capability of blending a limited number of elements allows it to create endless new words and phrases. Human language is a dyadic code, where individual elements like voices, sounds, words, and gestures have no meaning by themselves. Combining words and sentences can produce an infinite number of meanings. Human language is produced by combining a limited number of elements to generate an infinite number of interpretations. However, combining language elements is not unique to humans. As previously mentioned, animals with the highest number of neurons can also combine essential language elements. Research has demonstrated that the Australian chestnut-crowned thrush can arrange identical sound elements in different ways to produce functionally different pronunciations. Additionally, the thrush in southern Africa has demonstrated its ability to use two identical types of sounds to perform similar behaviors while distinguishing the meanings of the sound elements only by their number of repetitions. Bonobos can communicate with each other through vocal organs and express their intentions via facial expressions and natural gestures, like invitations to play. Certain species can learn new modes of communication through social learning. For instance, a bonobo named Kanzi acquired the ability to communicate his desires using a set of Yerkish signs. However, despite mastering numerous words and symbols, animals can learn no more notations than an average 4-year-old human child, and they do not acquire any of the rules that resemble the grammar of human language. Human language distinguishes itself from animal communication systems in that it possesses grammatical categories, including nouns and verbs, present and past tenses, and more, which are utilized to express intricate meanings. For instance, in human language, a noun phrase has the capacity to include another noun phrase like the horse's lips, and a subordinate clause has the ability to contain another subordinate clause, like I saw the dog driving. What sets human language apart is the utilization of abstract concepts to explain hypothetical, past, or future events rather than solely the present. This ability is attributed to the highly developed human brain and flexible articulatory organs, which enable abstract thinking and pronunciation. Many animals are capable of pronouncing their words. However, abstract thinking is beyond their capability. Although parrots can imitate human speech, their language is an inferior imitation rather than a natural language due to their inability to think abstractly. Gorillas, genetically close to humans, are unable to express rich and complex intentions due to their lack of abstract thinking ability. They have only a limited number of expressions and cries to convey their emotions. The human brain can analyze and summarize sensory information to identify the essential features of objects and appearances, categorize them, and assign names while ignoring secondary and subsidiary features. This process involves using abstract thinking to generalize and abstract concrete things. For instance, the term banana triggers the brain to produce associations with respect to its color, taste, and other sensory qualities through auditory stimulation, and even causes salivation. Parrots and orangutans lack comprehension of the term banana, and although parrots can phonetically reproduce the word, they do not correlate it with its real-world counterpart and do not experience salivation. Orangutans, even if trained, are unable to articulate the word banana due to their anatomical limitations. Approximately 5,000 to 7,000 human languages exist, and obtaining precise statistics is challenging because the variations between languages and dialects are arduous to delineate. Facial expressions and body language also play a crucial role. In conclusion, the intricate and multifarious nature of human language is unparalleled. As a result, humanity was able to surpass the natural barriers that hindered mutual understanding between individuals and the cognitive barriers between humanity and nature. This led to a path of collaboration and the conquest of the planet from this evolutionary standpoint. Although humans have the genetic advantage of surpassing other species, why does natural selection impose a challenging learning burden on them? In other words, why aren't humans endowed with the ability to speak at birth, but merely the potential to acquire it? If abstract reasoning is only acquired later in life according to nature's design, humans could at least be born with basic forms of verbal expression, instead of being limited to two sounds, crying and whispering. To learn language, parents repeat sounds consistently, the baby imitates and practices, and after about 9 to 10 months, the child can consciously vocalize words such as mommy. While language acquisition requires time and energy, it remains a mystery as to why nature overlooks this process. Human language in the jungle. The fundamental tool of connection is inseparable from the freedom and richness of human language. People can freely express what they see and hear, in addition to using various words and phrases to express similar meanings. Many human languages contain at least 3 words with similarities in describing a person's intelligence, and the use of symbolic forms offers numerous ways to express this concept. Human beings utilize language to discuss past and present situations, express deep philosophies, convey perspectives of reality, and describe imaginary worlds. The level of detail and relevance in human language exceeds any other species on Earth, and Homo sapiens prides themselves on their linguistic sophistication. Does this hold true? Loose lips sink ships is a common adage that most experienced individuals can relate to. Language can be compared to an invisible knife, capable of inflicting sharp and cruel wounds without any physical evidence. Language exhibits both a courteous and peaceful aspect, as well as a subtle yet ferocious and merciless one. Throughout human history, the extent to which language has instigated misinformation, bias, disappointment, and animosity has remained a mystery. Language manifests both an affable, refined demeanor and a gentle yet powerful, aggressive, and merciless one. In the history of human language use, it is impossible to quantify the number of misunderstandings, prejudices, frustrations, and hatreds that language has caused. Like a chaotic navigation system, language can lead us down the bright path that illuminates our minds or into the foggy, hazardous jungle. This issue stems from the inherent imperfections of natural language. There are 5 major common flaws related to language comprehension that are widely recognized. A. Homophones, which can lead to mishearing or even total incomprehension. B. Homonyms, or multiple words with the same pronunciation but different meanings, which may lead to misunderstandings. C. Equivocal words influenced by geographic and temporal factors, which may cause information redundancy and comprehension burden. D. Partitive words, which generate comprehension barriers. E. The structural ambiguity of a sentence, which creates confusion between what is said and what is meant. Even though some of these errors can be resolved automatically in a specific context, there is no guarantee that they will be, which leads to uncertainty. What is the origin of errors in natural languages? Natural languages are all descendants of primitive languages that have evolved over time due to human migration, changes, absorption, fusion, and differentiation from other primitive languages. This process is marked by a rich history and has accumulated a significant amount of historical dust. Attributing the defects of natural language to intentional causes would be a mistake. Language is a system of symbols that social communities agree upon and comprises phonetics, vocabulary, and grammar. It is not based on the anatomical larynx, but rather on modifications in the cerebral cortex and neural tissue that regulate vocalization. The progression of language from its inception to a comprehensive phonological system is reliant on our brain's language centers. Our brain contains 2 such areas, Broca's area and Wernicke's area, which serve different functions respectively. Broca's area is chiefly responsible for our ability to structure language, whereas Wernicke's area is responsible for our ability to comprehend language. Aphasia in Broca's area produces sentences with meaningless and illogical words. Aphasia in Wernicke's area results in a lack of comprehension and communication difficulties. Verbal communication involves the following process. Speech is first processed in the auditory and visual cortices and then transmitted to the Wernicke's area for comprehension, followed by the Broca's area for speech organization, and finally through the motor cortex for speech production and articulation. If these 2 areas were not impaired, would we consistently understand the language of others accurately? The complexity of language concerning both language organization and comprehension of others depends entirely on the human ability to think abstractly. The basis of abstract thinking lies entirely in the way neurons are built in the cerebral cortex. The learning process, upbringing, and social connections of each person are unique. Thus, the information they receive is never the same, and the variation in the way neurons are built is significant. Consequently, each person possesses a distinctive depth and perception of abstract thinking, as well as a different understanding of concepts. This diversity often results in the potential for misinterpretation of the language that they organize by others. 2 types of knowledge are utilized in the process of language comprehension: general knowledge and specific knowledge. General knowledge, such as common sense, simplifies understanding of another person's behavior, since we assume that the other person has normal social and cognitive abilities. Specialized knowledge, such as expertise, interest-based knowledge, and skill-based knowledge, enhances our understanding and participation in complex events and behaviors. General knowledge serves as the foundation for communication among people with normal cognitive abilities and enables 2 individuals to comprehend general statements creatively with their prior knowledge background within specific contexts. Special knowledge refers to knowledge about a specific event and is a fixed cognitive unit. Both general and specific knowledge can help individuals understand the linguistic permutations experienced in a particular context. This understanding allows for the creation of larger situational units or mental schemas, resulting in more complex cognitive structures. The differences in this knowledge among individuals can result in biases in verbal decoding. An example of such differences can be observed in everyday conversations when there is a discrepancy between the meaning conveyed by the speaker and the meaning perceived by the listener, leading to misunderstandings. The understanding of language is also influenced by time, and the meaning of concepts can shift with time, particularly for abstract concepts. For instance, the expression freelancer means freelance writers, freelance journalists, and those who are not associated with any institution or have not committed through an exclusive agreement with any specific institution. Later, the definition was broadened to include personal entrepreneurship, temporary employment contracts, personal network services, and turned into a lifestyle. Furthermore, mental activity influences language comprehension. High emotions can cause selective reception of language, leading to reduced comprehension. This further intensifies emotions, resulting in a vicious cycle. One experiment conducted by Kristen Lindquist and her team at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill required a group of volunteers to repeatedly shout the word anger 30 times to induce a state of semantic saturation. As the word anger was repeated, the experimenters increasingly experienced a loss of understanding of the word's meaning due to semantic saturation. The participants who underwent semantic saturation showed lower performance in identifying images of frowning expressions as compared to the control group. I remember coming across this passage while reading. It is impossible for the speaker to communicate the concept fully through language, and the listener cannot comprehend all of the speaker's language into a concept. Thus, the message transmission displaces the concept. Is misunderstanding an inevitable fate for the speaker? Esperanto, an artificial language developed by a Polish physician, Cezary Zamenhof, in 1887 aimed to decrease misunderstandings arising from the use of different natural languages by introducing a unified language. Nonetheless, altering the way language is used cannot eradicate its inherent flaws. As humans have developed a sophisticated language that other organisms cannot match, this allele has undergone continuous improvement. This genetic advantage has further widened the divide between humans and other organisms. It may appear as though nature has a special preference for humans in terms of selection. However, why not provide humans with a comprehensive set of language concepts, rules, and guidelines for its usage? How can language bring happiness and at the same time cause anxiety and pain due to mutual misunderstandings?